First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak, Yahushua. That's all praises to the Most High God in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world innately called Jesus Christ. It's the brother Aliyah from the Angels of Yahweh, South Carolina camp, right? And as you can see by the title, the 1948ers don't fit biblical prophecy, right? And if you don't know who the 1948ers are, you're about to find out, right? So, the 1948ers, it's another way of saying the small hats, right? Over there in the land that took our identity in 1948, right? Really before that, I believe, you know, but that's when they took our land, they occupied our land, you know. So let's get into it. It's Ezekiel 36:5. Right, so this is my third time recording this video because I wanted y'all to be able to see the screen, but StreamYard kept muting my mic, right, midway through the lesson. So, that's saying, right? So this Ezekiel 36:5 says, "Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and all Idumea," right? So Idumea, when you go into the Hebrew, I'm gonna flip the camera. It's just another way how you say Edom. I'm Salak, it's just another name for the Edomites, right? All right, we're gonna go into it. See that? Don't even gotta click it. Idumea, Edom, right? So those are the heathen that's being spoken about, right? So it says, "Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which I have appointed my land into their possession." So Edomites have appointed Yahweh by Hashem Yahshua's land into their possession, right? With the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Prophecy, therefore, concerning the land of Israel, right? So, you got Edomites in the land, according to biblical prophecy, which the Edomites today are the so-called white race. That's their biblical nationality, right? So let's go ahead and prove that real quick. Salakia. Right, so let's prove that the so-called white race are the Edomites today. Let's go to Genesis chapter 25, the classic. It says, it's Salaki, it's Genesis 25 and 21. Salaki, I'm tired. It's my third time recording this. It said, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived, right? So Isaac and Rebekah was having twins, Jacob and Esau. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, "Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger," right? So you had two different manner of people in Rebecca's womb, right? These Edomites, we don't act the same. They weird. They don't got no rhythm, right? They into all type of weird lust, right? Israelites are too, but nowhere near the levels of Esau, right? Dealing with animals and siblings and all that. Like Hebrews 12:16 says, so lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, roughly paraphrased, right? So like reading on verse 24, Genesis 25:24, and when her days to be fulfilled, Salaki, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, right? Jacob and Esau. And the first came out red all over, like in a hairy garment, and they call his name Esau, right? So it says the first came out red all over. Who's the red people on the earth today? You know, you slap on it, they'll turn red. They get nervous, they turn red, right? They get mad, angry, they turn red, right? The so-called white race. We don't gotta dig too deep into that, right? But I'm about to pull up a picture of these devils doing a sunbird contest. Right? Look at these devils, man. You see that? Look at it. This ain't what I wanted, but uh it was at like a beach. So like it. But nevertheless, these devils red too. Oh, here it go. Right. So you see how red these devils are? You know, so the first came out red all over. All right, let's go back. Let's jump down to verse 27. Right. It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Right. So it says Esau was a cunning hunter. Right. It says Esau was a cunning hunter. Right. So who calls themselves the rednecks and they like to hunt? Right. The so-called white race. So it described Esau as being red, and it described Esau as being a cunning hunter. Right. So you can't make this up. Let's get another account at Obadiah. Right. And let me pull up this real quick. So I get ancient Edom eagle. So I get right. So this Obadiah 1 and verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus said the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom, who have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Right? So the Lord made the Edomites small among the heathen. These damn devils, they can only have like 1 or 2 kids, really. Right? They even say the birth rate of the so-called white race is declining, right? Because they not reproducing like that, right? It says, "Thou art greatly despised." You know, so all the nations hate the so-called white race. Really, they the cancer to the earth. They over there committing genocide. All they do is rape, rob, and murder. You know, they're the cancer of the earth. That's why it says, "Thou art greatly despised." Verse 3: The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that said in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So Esau being prideful, right? Verse 4, Salaki. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, And though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, said the Lord. Right. So it said, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, right? And you look at America, you know, the so-called white man's empire. What animal do they use to symbolize this nation? An eagle. You know, what animal symbolized Rome? An eagle. What animal symbolized ancient Edom? It was an eagle, right? So you can't make this up, and I'm about to pull that up, right? So y'all can see. So let me go ahead and flip my camera again. Uh, so you see that? That's ancient Edom. It's an eagle, right? Ancient Edom. Now let's go to. It was a picture that I found on the computer, but I can't find it on this. It was of but I guess this is a good one right here too, though. Right, so that's Greek with an eagle, the Greeks with an eagle, so-called white man. Rome with an eagle, so-called white man. United States with an eagle, so-called white man. Right, so you get the point. You know, they exalt themselves as the eagle. Right, this is talking about the so-called white race. Right, so Salaki. Let's go back to the scriptures. Right, and you know, and specifically it's Amalekites in the land, right? You know, the grandson of Esau, his descendants. So they would still technically be Edomites, right? They're just a specific tribe within the nation of Edom. You know, one Genesis 36. It's Genesis 36 and 1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom, right? So when you hear brothers say the Edomites, right? Ite just means a descendant of. So a descendant of who? The man Esau, right? So jumping down to verse 10, it says, this Genesis 36 and 10. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Bashemoth, the wife of Esau, and the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son. She bare to Eliphaz Amalek, right? So those the people that's in the land today, the Edomites that's in the land today, Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife, right? And how do we know that they are Amalekites? Let's go to Numbers 24. All right, Numbers 24. Let's lock it. 1 second. So like Numbers 24 in verse 17, right? It said this division of Balaam. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, right? This star out of Jacob is speaking on Yahushua, right? Speaking about Yahushua. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, right? The so-called Chinese man, right? And destroy all the children of Sheph. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Right? So the so-called white race is gonna get possessed, just like they had us in their possession, right, for thousands of years. You know, the Romans, the Greeks, you know, over here in Babylon the Great, right? It's verse 19. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, Yahweh, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations. Right? So Amalek was the first of the nations. Why? Because currently Amalek, they sit at the top. Right? You can't say nothing about them, the 1948ers, without being scrutinized, right? You know, you see what happened to Kyrie, right? You see what happened to various celebrities about speaking up against these damn devils, right? You know, so Amalek was first of the nation. They was at the top, right? It says, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever, right? Like Obadiah speaks about. You know, let's get that. Obadiah 1:18. It's Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. You see that? So Amalek is going to perish forever, you know, after serving the Israelites, right? So let's go to, I got some sources pulled up, right? So in 1917, these devils, where the camera so lucky. In 1917, these devils was placed in Palestine, which that's not really even the Palestinians' land, because the word Palestine goes back to the word Philistine, which I believe are Hamitic people, right? So it says the Balfour Declaration was a public statement issued by the British government in 1917 during the First World War, announcing its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. Right. So you see that? So they got the Palestinians welcoming them with open arms in 1917, right? But in 1948, you had Palestinian war, where these damn devils, these Israelis, which means an inhabitor of the land of Israel, right? Why don't they call themselves Israelites, which means a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? These devils call themselves Jewish, which the suffix ish just means to some extent, like brothers always bring out, right? But it says 1948, the Palestine War, right? It says the 1948 Palestine War was in the territory of what had been at the start of the war British ruled mandatory Palestine. During the war, Zionist forces, the small hats, the 1948ers, conquered territory and established the state of Israel, right? So that's when these devils took our land, right? It says over 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled, right? So you see that, right? These devils, you know, that's how they got the land, you know. 1917, the Balfour Declaration placed in Palestine. In 1948, they rose up against the Palestinians, you know, which are our enemies as well, right? We don't give a damn about them either, you know, but Yahweh Shai spoke about Gentiles being in the land, right? Let's go to Luke 21:24. Right? It says, this red letter, Salaki. Says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, talking about the Israelites, the Jews, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled, right? So it says the Israelites was going to be led away captive into all nations. That never happened to the 1948ers, right? That never happened to the small hats, you know. But it happened to us, though. We went into slavery in all nations. And the most important part says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Just like we ran Ezekiel 36:5, the heathen will be occupying the land, which is Edomites, Idumea, right? You know? So let's go to, and this actually happened in 70 AD, right? Luke 21-24. You know, the Romans, Titus Vespasian, and the Roman army besieged Jerusalem, right? And a lot of us, the real Israelites, fled, fled Jerusalem and went to the western hemisphere of Africa and other places in Africa. I believe even northern Africa as well, right? Uh, let's go to Matthew 24. And another thing is, Christians always say, well, it was placed back in the land in 1948, right? And a lot of our people, they think, a lot of Jason Eves, they think that they Gentiles, they think they Hamites, right? This is Matthew 24 and verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with the power and great glory. Verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and shall gather together his elect. Right? So that's very important. Salaki, that's very important. Shall gather together his elect. Let me drink some of this water. Salaki. Shall gather together his elect. Who's his elect? That's the Israelites, right? Let's prove that real quick. This Isaiah 45:4. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Right? So you see that? The Israelites are the elect of God, right? It says back at Matthew 24:31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect on the four winds from one end of heaven to the other. Right? So that's like Luke 21:24. We'll be scattered into all nations. So pursuant to the curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, Deuteronomy 28:64, you know, being scattered across the four corners of the earth, right? Or the four winds of the earth. You know, so it says the angels is going to gather us from the four winds of the Salaki, from one end of heaven to the other. So we want to be in the land in 1948. You know, we'll still be scattered until Yahushua comes back, right? But these devils say that all the Jews went back in 1948, right? You know, that's not according to biblical prophecy, right? Let's get Revelations 2:9, right? We're gonna wrap it up with this. It's red letter, Yahweh speaking. It's Revelations 2:9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, right? So the real Israelites would be in poverty. The small hats in 1948ers, they the richest damn nation on earth, damn near, right? They own damn near everything. The small hats they own, you know, I'm not gonna say it, but corn hub, right? You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. This a wicked nation of people that we're speaking about, right? The border of wickedness, right? It says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Why? Because we pertain to the covenants, the adoptions, the promises written about in Romans, the 9th chapter, right? It says, and I know the blasphemy, meaning the filthy lie of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, right? Synagogue, meaning chief house of Satan, right? So these people are wicked as hell. You know, they stole our identity from us, right? And now our people think we just African Americans, right? Hamites, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. No, we the Israelites that the Bible speaks about, right? And Esau, Edom, damn stole our identity. You know, that's why we call these devils the devil that the Bible speaks of. Because devil just means to tell lies and to deceive, right? They deceived the whole damn earth. All right, let's go to Revelations 3 and 9. This red letter again, it's Yahushua speaking. It says Revelations 3 and 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Right? So Yahushua is gonna make the small hats come before our feet. You know, he gonna tell them, you know, he never cared for them. He only cared for us. Right? And this don't sound like uh the Messiah that a Christian church teaches, you know. They teach that he all love. I, that don't sound like he all love to me right there. You know, he's clearly showing favoritism. You know, right? And he clearly don't give a damn about the synagogue of Satan. Right? Let's pull up one more thing. Right? That was my last precept, but let's pull up one more archaeology evidence proving that these devils are the Edomites. All right, so this looks just like Mark Zuckerberg right here. So like here we go. It was another one from a different angle, but this one's still good. So I can't find it. Can't find it. It's the same archaeology evidence, but it was from a different angle. Right. Right. So look, see that sharp nose, pointy lips, right? Thin lips, might I say. Right. Let's see if I can find it. Find the other one. I don't know what this is. I don't know how true that is, but look like he got a worn rest on his head. The Greeks, right? Uh, hold on. I think this is what it said. Here we go, right here. All praise to y'all about Shema Shah. You see that? Who this look like? This look just like damn Mark Zuckerberg. This damn thing in a way, but you see the sharp nose and pointing lips, right? Or thin lips, you know? Right? So, hey, they clearly are the Edomites. According to prophecy, archaeology evidence, you know, and just historical facts, right? So, Salakia, me fit with my camera back. But, you know, Lord willing, this was edifying. Again, giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Wamala, Yahushua, right? To these devils, they don't fit biblical prophecy, you know. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native American, we are the true biblical Israelites, all right? Right? Stop listening to Esau, right? He will never tell you the truth. And like I brought out in the last two videos that was muted, it's like not illegal to get a DNA test in Israel, but you got to do a lot to get that done. Like you got to take it to the court and all that. Right? Not, we don't really trust the DNA test, but these devils going the extra mile, to so people won't know who they are, right? They the damn Amalekites that the Bible speaks of, right? But with that, we're gonna give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh by Hashem Hamashiach Wamalat Yahushua again. Lord willing, this was edifying. It's the brother Allah Yah from the angels of Yahweh, right? I want to say Kwan Yahshua Shalom.